Crude oil starting the new month where July left off down. Oil prices tumbling nearly 14% last month. Phil Flynn of Price Futures Group is at the CME. Phil, with what the heck is going on?
You know, today it's about more supply and concerns about demand, Dagan. And then over the weekend, of course, there was an event in Iraq. ISIS had taken over some oil fields in northern Iraq. That went away very quickly. The Iraqi government overtook those fields again. And now we're concerned about supply. OPEC production was on the rise once again because of returned production in Nigeria. We also had a report out of Libya over the weekend that they're going to restart exporting oil. And this comes at a time when demand is suspect. We did get some data out of China on their manufacturing sector. It was really kind of mixed, better than expected, but not rip-roaring. Not the type of numbers you would expect to really make a dent in oil demand. You know, really this is a mood play. If you look at the month of July, you know, we started off July with a lot of optimism about demand, the market getting in balance. What really changed the momentum in July, I believe, really was the Brexit vote. That really put doubt in the global economy and economic growth. You know, now we're back to a situation where the oversupply looks insurmountable because we're very questionable about growth. U.S. growth numbers on Friday were terrible. Doesn't bode well for demand going forward.
Does this happen every summer, though, Phil? Is this the usual trajectory of oil prices? As you go into summer, they go up ahead of the driving season. As you start winding down, they start falling.
They do, no doubt about it. In fact, the 4th of July, really, we topped last year and we topped this year, the peak of the summer driving season. But, you know, how big is that correction really comes down to how strong the economy is and how strong growth is. You're going to have a 1% correction or 10% correction, depends on demand.
Phil, I was watching the price of oil, and then I was comparing it to the rig counts, and we're actually starting to see the rig counts start to come up. Do you think that's having a big impact? Because we know the rigs are starting to get more efficient, and people can get more oil out of those rigs now.
It really is, and the timing of the rig counts coming back online come at a time when demand is weakening. You know, the reason why those rig counts came back online is because oil prices rallied 60% from the low prices we saw earlier in the year. But one thing we did notice in this week's rig count, we only added 2 rigs, so it shows that it may be slowing once again. So it's a very tenuous situation for the U.S. rig operators. It's great if they can bring back production, but if prices come back down, they're going to have to take the rigs back down as well.
And what about the kind of alternative producers here in the United States? And with the bankruptcies that we already saw, many in precarious financial situations, does this make it that much worse for them?
I think it does. It really does. If we see another break on prices below $44 a barrel, and if it looks like it's going to stay there, you are going to see more bankruptcies. And when we talk about alternative fuels, you know, it's going to make it more difficult for those higher priced alternatives as well. So there's a lot at play here right now, and it's going to be a tough slog for the U.S. oil producer.
How low do we go, Phil? You want to throw a number out?
You know, it's a money game right now, Dagan. Yeah. You know, right now, 41.50 was the support last week, then 40, then 38. But it really depends about optimism about the future. You know, the glut will look a lot smaller if we think the economy's getting better globally. You know, and if the economy shows some signs of life, I don't think we're going to collapse like we did a year ago, because I don't think things are that bad. But, you know, in the meantime, the mood is very negative. You just got to watch this market. Keep an eye on the dollar. That's another factor that last year really put pressure on the price of oil. If we see the dollar start to break a little bit, that should give oil some support.
Phil Flynn, always great to see you, even bright and early in the morning. Phil, thank you so much.